Now, you see,
pause for a minute. Number 3, now here, let me just set the table, because you pointed out something that we don't know where his loyalty is, and that's in question. And it's not that we hate somebody; it's that we're just trying to find out where your loyalty is. And Democrats see that this can hurt them in the future.
Yeah.
So some of the things that he's doing. But I want the president to describe from his own words why his position is the where it is. Could you play number 3 for me, please, Derek?
And I consider it part of my responsibility as President of the United States to fight against negative stereotypes of Islam wherever they appear.
Okay, now, those are his own words.
That's his own words.
What about what he wrote in his book about if the climate change turns hostile in America, he would side with the Muslims?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you see how wrong it is for Republicans to be trying to accuse Donald Trump of being a racist or a fascist is what the term is that they're using. Now, because of the fact that he said he would like to, I don't even know if he said it because, but they're accusing him of saying that he wants to put
is it about the wall?
No.
Is it the fence?
The what do you call it when a list of people that are Muslim?
He just want to put them in the data bank.
Yeah. Now, they're calling him a fascist because of this, right? Well, this shows you that they don't know how to fight the opposition, and then we don't know exactly who the opposition is because
they don't want to fight the opposition.
Yeah, period. That is coming from within. We are fighting we are in a circular firing squad by accusing Trump of being a fascist to give the Democrats the ammunition to use in that firing squad.
Well, for one, the establishment. I can't just say Republicans. It's an establishment. This is the establishment because they have their guy. You know, they have their guy. They already picked, and he's appointed. He's been put there. Bush number 3. He is their guy. And
but you notice that this little article is nowhere to be found. When there was some opposition about Trump coming from within, it was all over the paper. There's an internal fight between the Republicans. See, now, when they asked Trump about what he said, or when they asked Ben Carson about his book, they should have said right immediately, well, what about, how come you didn't ask the president before he was president about the book he wrote? Nobody asked anybody about him saying if the climate turns hostile in the United States, he would side with the Muslims. I mean, to me, that asks the question right there: who the heck side are you on? You know, because if you're talking about siding with the Muslims, when is it that you consider the climate hostile to Muslims? And then when do you decide to side with them instead of with us? That's what they should have been asking. But nobody's asked that question. They want to ask Ben Carson about him saying he was going to attack his mother with a hammer. And I mean, it's all over the place.
Well, they're trying to take him down. Absolutely.
They've done a good job of it.
And they're working on it.
And there's an article today that Donald Trump's numbers had dropped 12 points in the last week.
And it was a judge, our friend Thomas, said that what they did to him, he used the word as
high-tech lynching.
High-tech lynching. And, you know, one of the people that was on that committee that was doing the high-tech lynching was the vice president of the United States.
Right, Joe Biden.
It was Joe Biden that was leading that charge towards him. And when he said that word right there, that's what backed off of him. That's what backed them Democrats off of Clarence Thomas. And so for at this point, I think that Dr. Carson need to take the gloves off.
Yes, he does.
And he's going to have to. He got to say something to them Democrats to back him up.
Exactly.
He have to back him. You got to say something to him to back, and that will send them in retreat.
Now, he's
being nice right now. You notice that his temperament, he's always very cordial and very polite with some of the things that he say, but he got to say something, Phil.
They have got to take the initiative and go at these people. When Donald Trump was taking the initiative and going at them, look, you and I haven't endorsed either candidate. We haven't said who we are for. Only thing I want to do is get the best Republican possible that that has the right principles, and that is a dedication to our Constitution.
That's right.
The Constitution would solve all of these problems if we use it.
That's right.
But when we ignore it, as this president has done, then you get what you got. You got chaos in the country. You got people that are afraid to say anything against the opposition. And then so there is no opposition to the tyranny that's going and taking place in this country right now. It is tyranny, a tyranny of the. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to say no. Just go ahead and finish. But I was just going to say we're getting close, and I just wanted to point out that we had a 4-star general. He was on. They went before Congress and. President Obama had his own general that stepped down. That was his that was a part of the defense agency.
Yeah.
And he pointed out that this ISIS threat, they seen this ISIS threat 3 years ago, and they pointed out to him. But they refused to use his name, and so courtesy of Fox News or Megyn Kelly, I want you to hear, because the most dangerous ideology that we face today, well, it is the Democrat Party, but the second. It is radical Islam. Absolutely, it is radical. So we have to,
and we gotta put in political correctness too.
Well, political correctness. Yeah. You're right. We have to sideline that, folks. You cannot use political correct. Matter of fact, this is something George Orwell said. He said, "Who controls the past controls the future." He said, "Who controls the present controls the past." So we see that the people that's in control right now, they can control the past, because what they're doing is in the midst, they're rewriting the past. They're rewriting our history. And so, but I want you to listen. This is a 4-star general, and he's going to describe who the enemy is. Go ahead on line 4, please, Derek.
Breaking tonight, a big gun in the intel community turns on his former boss and blasts the president's battle plan in the war on terror, declaring, quote, "You cannot defeat an enemy you do not admit exists." Good evening and welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn is the former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, a brother to the CIA, just retired and now sounding off. The Daily Beast is detailing how he told a Washington conference just yesterday that this administration is unwilling to admit the scope of Islamic extremism and calling our approach well-intentioned but paralyzing for the people trying to help win this fight. He did not hold back. And Flynn is not the only one sounding the alarm, as 2 4-star generals retired, one of whom designed the ultimately successful surge strategy to defeat al-Qaeda in Iraq, took to the floor of the U.S. Congress today with a dire and frank assessment.
The fundamental question, I believe, is political Islam in our best interest. Violent jihadist terrorists cannot be permitted to take refuge behind false religious garb and leave us unwilling to define this threat with the clarity it deserves.
Radical Islam, as much as Nazism and communism, both geopolitical movements, ideologically driven, were the major security challenges of the 20th century. Radical Islam is the major security challenge of our generation. U.S. policymakers refuse to accurately name the movement as Radical Islam. We further choose not to define it, nor explain its ideology. And most critical, we have no comprehensive strategy to stop it or defeat it.
Joining me now, General Jack Keane, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, former vice chief of staff for the Army. General, good to see you tonight. And I read your entire testimony, and it was a devastating assessment of how we got to the place we are now. You put on the map the spread of radical Islam under this president in various regions. Talk about Iran, its growth of power, ISIS and its birth and expansion, and Al-Qaeda and its expansion under this president. And at the end, you attribute this to a failed strategy and an unwillingness, as General Flynn did, to name, identify, and be real about the enemy we face, which is
radical Islam. Absolutely. And
thank you very much. And he named it. We're talking about a 4-star top general, Jack Ken, 4-star top general, named the enemy is radical Islam. And we have a woman that's running for the president of the United States, Democrat. Hillary Clinton will not say the name that radical, that Islam. And there's a radical element within Islam because every time they waving that black flag, matter of fact, they say they're gonna wave that flag. They're gonna put that flag on the White House. I take that serious when they say that. Very serious, Phil.
Yes, and you'd be well advised to take it serious because of the fact that even the general that identified this, he said that Obama's intentions were well, founded, well intended.
They are well intended.
That's what he said.
Matter of fact, Ahmadinejad, he said the wave of Islam revolution will soon reach the entire world. Folks, we are in a revolution. Go to our website, artofmichigan.com. We need your support, and we're going to see you next week.
And in political correctness. Invites the WAAM Talk 1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil and Del at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.